She did not want to hear me at all. The only thing stopping him now is this whole remote thing. Now they want to reconsider and work with us. I don't really know exactly what's going on. Fingers crossed, hopefully we don't lose this. Hello and welcome back to another Weekend in Life video of what I show every single day, what I do as a professional recruiter in the technology industry. Coming into this week, it's already Wednesday by the time I'm filming this, really just been heads down Monday through Tuesday, focused on our open roles and really just doing my best to really drive pipeline. We have a lot of continuation of the storyline from last week. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, make sure you watch previous videos so you know exactly what's happening this week. But coming into this week specifically, we are talking to an old client picking up another engineering role tomorrow. And really just my schedule is jam-packed, reaching out and talking to amazing candidates and clients every single week. And if you're new here, welcome. These videos are really just to show in a transparent way what we go through, all the ups, all the downs, all the crazy situations with our candidates and clients, and really happy to have you all along for the ride. If you've been watching, welcome back. Really appreciate it. But right now it's coming into the tail end of May. We have two really big deals that we finished, doing my best to end this month off strong, possibly trying to make it my biggest to date, and we'll see what we can do and we'll see what we can happen. But if you are as excited as I am to finish this month off, to continue Q2 off with tremendous momentum and success, feel free to like, subscribe, click that bell. Really means a lot. And also feel free to also tag me on Instagram if you want, and I'll also give you the shout out back as well, and would really appreciate that. But right now, as you can see, it's a little bit of a different setup because I'm on the go a lot this week, running a lot of different errands, going from place to place. I will do my best to go over and go through the week with you and see what really cool opportunities and situations we find ourselves into. So let's get started. One more thing, if you saw last week's video, or if you haven't, make sure you stop right now and watch that, because a crazy situation happened where I'm in a situation with a possible client who wants to just not work with us anymore for a reason that still makes my jaw drop and just leaves me speechless. If you've seen that video, well, quick update. So I was able to actually sync up with the founder late Monday afternoon and just kind of try my best to come to terms and make sure we're on the same page. And after I did my best to convey our perspective and our understanding of the whole situation, you know, their accusation, and she's getting it from all of our department heads, is that we aren't doing any work. And I understand that she's a little bit more sensitive about the money that she's spending on us because we're now on retainer, and on retainer every single month. Basically, you want to make sure that if you're on the client's point of view, that the recruiting partner is really driving pipelines for all the open positions so that you know your money's well worth it. Well, in this case, we are on retainer. She basically emailed me last night saying, or emailed me last week, just as a quick refresher, that all of our department heads are complaining to her that we're not doing any work and she wants to stop the engagement. I was shocked because this is a whole misunderstanding. Every single position that we do work have a pipeline of amazing candidates to back it up. And not just that, she feels like we're taking our retainer for granted and, you know, we're just collecting money, not doing anything. In fact, the opposite is what's happening. Like when I'm on a retainer with the client, we spend extra effort. You know, we do whatever we can. Like we take every relationship seriously, but the ones that are on retainer that are spending every single month consistently on us, we want to do whatever we can so that they're happy. We will bend over backwards and work as hard as we can to make sure all the open positions have great pipelines. Well, in this situation, that's exactly happened. Every single position that we have, our team and I are worked so hard to drive really great candidates, but then she's like, oh, my department heads are telling me that we're not seeing anyone. When I fast forward to Monday, when I connected with her, I'm like, hey, it's less of an issue of what we're doing because I know the value and I know the results that we bring, and you've been working with us for the past year and a half. We've done a lot of placements together. You know the results that we can drive to you. I think the issue is what happens with the candidates after we submit them. And I've been working, and this has been an ongoing process with her internal recruiter, who unfortunately got let go, to optimize that process. And you know, before she got let go, the process was I would submit it to submit the candidates to ATS, and then the internal recruiter would take my candidates and forward them to the department heads. I think after she got fired, and I think even before she got laid off, my candidates are not getting forwarded to the department heads, and department heads are like, wow, we're not getting any candidates for Preston, and they go back to the founder and complain to her. So I tried to like address this again and bring this up with her, but then on Monday she did not want to hear me at all. And she was like, you know what, Preston, like we're not seeing any results. We're really, really disappointed. We're having no interviews happen, and no offers have been made. And so we're just not going to move forward. No matter how hard I try to kind of push back, she just wouldn't listen. And so like that honestly left a pretty bad taste in my mouth. I also try to convey to her that the roles that we are working right now, there are specific, hard to fill technical roles across software engineering, data science, UX, product design, and even some creative roles and some marketing roles. And because they're on retainer, I don't know what happened. Like they just been so much more paranoid about all the money that they're spending, and or their expectations have gone off through the roof, and they just want to hire engineers now. They want to hire data science now. And another thing I was trying to convey to her is that hiring software engineers of these really difficult technical talents in 1 to 2 months is a best case scenario, but it's not the average. In this market, especially if you're recruiting, you know this, it's a candidate market, knowing that, if you find a good candidate, chances are they're in process with 3 to 5 other companies. Many of them can pay way more and offer way more perks and benefits than your client. And so I've also tried to convey that to her. We've literally been reaching out to hundreds of people and growing every single week to drive. And then for every candidate that I've been sending, I'm also telling her there's 5 or 6 we're not sending because they're not interested. My client's salary is not as competitive, or they're as a company is not that exciting because my client candidates don't want to be in the ed tech space. Even despite everything, I think the results that we bring to our clients are some of the best or the top that I've seen. Like we're all about sense of urgency, moving really, really fast and driving results to our client ASAP. And this is on top of all the history that I've had with her in placing a handful of candidates with her over the past year and a half. So the fact that she refused to kind of listen and really be a little bit flexible in terms of the expectations, and willing to just throw away our entire history of great work together in a year and a half, like it just doesn't make sense. And on top of that, like she's been coming off very pushy. Her internal HR person has been coming off very pushy, and they just have to understand. And if you're a recruiter and you work for yourself or your own agency, when you work for a client, whether it's contingency or retained, it's very easy to feel like your client is the boss, and rightfully so, right? Like they're the ones that are going to pay you at the end of the day. So like, you have to take the high road a lot of times, have a lot of patience, understanding. But at the same time, like we have the option to work with whoever we want to. And if we don't see a situation where there's mutual respect, you have every right, like they do, to step away and walk away. And if people are not willing to listen to your expertise or specializations in the market, or have unrealistic expectations on like who they want to hire and how fast that should take, or willing to, have an open mind to kind of adjust the hiring plan, then they should really be willing and open to listen to you and then to adjust accordingly. So it's just been a really disappointing situation. And no matter how many times I brought up all these arguments, the founder is basically, Preston, sorry, we're just not going to work with you anymore. The person that I've been working with, the internal HR, it also sounds like she's been telling the founder that I'm not doing a good job. When I talk to her on our weekly syncs, she's saying I'm doing an incredible job. So the fact that she's throwing me under the bus, and despite history together and despite all the great stuff we've done together, and this is where we are, it's just not cool. Like we don't work for our clients. We are a mutual partner, and we deserve to be respected, and we deserve to be listened to, especially if they're coming to us. And this is what we do 24/7, and we know the market, we know how recruiting works. Ultimately, I want to do whatever I can to save this relationship, because like there's no real reason for you to disengage or to end the relationship badly. But it comes to a point where like, is your effort, is your work ethic that you're putting in, is your expertise being appreciated and respected or listened to? And if not, like there's so many of the companies that are willing to pay us more, willing to listen to us, willing to adjust and have an open ear to everything. And if this is the case, then yeah, at the end of the day, it's sad, it's disappointing, but I decided that it's not the best interest for us and even for them to move forward. And so that's kind of how I left things. And again, it's disappointing, doesn't feel great, because I want to do whatever I can to give all my clients the best service possible. And if for any reason we can't deliver for them, that they at least be like, you know what, Preston and his team is legit, we trust them, and then I'll do whatever I can to refer them to other experts in my network. But like, this has been super disappointing. It's not every day that I have to walk away from a client with a history. This is not something that we just started yesterday. So again, not really that cool of a situation, but it happens. And I just want to talk about it because I'm not here just to show you all the wins and all the money and all that good stuff. Like at the end of the day, we are constantly on the phone fighting to be the best that we can and really fighting for our expertise and specializations to be listened to and respected and wanted and valued by clients we work with. And if you don't feel like companies doing that, then it might not make any sense. So again, not the best way to start this week off, but still got a lot of things kind of happening in the process. Got to move forward. Got to have a smile on your face and keep going. All right, so another update that we had is we have a recruiter candidate who's interviewing with a really awesome education tech company, and she had her interview last week that went well. She had an interview with the CEO yesterday that went well, and I heard back from the hiring manager, the COO, that they both like talking to her and they're going to get back to me hopefully today with next steps. I'm hoping this could be good news and we can kind of move forward to a reference and offer, because this has been one position that's been really bugging me. And if you're a recruiter, you know what I'm talking about. Like you'd have this one position with one client or maybe a handful of positions. You had so many close calls. Like it's ridiculous. I had probably 3 offers extended, and for a variety of reasons, the candidate did not accept or rejected. And so many close calls, so many of a tease of a situation. And so I'm not going to get my hopes up. I'm just going to believe it until the offer comes out and the candidate signs and actually starts. But we're coming to a point again where I'm slowly start getting more hopeful because I really want to get one position done. This is a brand new company we picked up about a month and a half ago. We haven't done a single deal with them. And it's coming to a point where this is just dragging on so much longer than expected, beyond our normal metrics. And so I just want to get this done, confirm a really good working relationship with them, and then hopefully we can continue to move on to bigger and greater positions with them. We're also working a senior director of product as well. So I haven't heard back from them yet. Hopefully we'll hear for some good news throughout the week and see what happens. One more, and then I have to go run off to another errand. So one person reached out to me on social and asked me for advice in a situation where they're working with a client who's really prestigious, really reputable, has a great reputation, but they're constantly lowballing offers because they want to attract the right people. And this is funny and it kind of makes me laugh. Well, it's not funny to the recruiter struggle, but it's funny in the concept because this is something I go through all the time. In the technology industry, in startup world, every founder thinks they're the next Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, building the next greatest platform, next greatest disruptive technology, and they want to attract people who are not about the salary short term, who wants to be willing to work 200 hours a week for a meager salary, for ridiculous equity, and if the company wins, they all win. While I still see this all the time, this has been around, you have to understand, from the get-go of the tech industry, but this has been even more prevalent, and I think this could be more of a better of a sell to hire someone pre-pandemic. I think when the pandemic happened, it changed everything upside down. People are a lot more risk averse. People are a lot more skeptical about smaller companies. If you're a tech talent and you're still looking to scale and hire US talent in some of the biggest tech cities in America, or just in America alone, you are competing against the FANGs of the world, the top tech companies, the Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google, Microsofts of the world, who can just scoop up talent with ridiculous salaries. So going back to the situation, this recruiter asked me so what is your advice dealing with clients who constantly lowball? And so a couple of things come to mind. Number one, I think you have to really make it clear to them, by constantly lowballing, they're going to continually be outbid from other companies in the market. It's period. And it's very easy to get this data. So if you've been recruiting for a while, look at your own database, look at your past deals, look at, levels.io, look at Glassdoor, just Google salaries in your area or in that city, and you can get a lot of data to support your argument as to why, the company might struggle. If you've been working with this company for a while, you have history and you've been struggling, or there's been a lot of instances of candidates just phasing out during the interview process because of the salary, or you're having trouble sending candidates to them in the first place because the salary is too low, get that data, get that number, and share that with the founders, that they're ultimately hurting themselves with this mentality. And at the end of the day, you have to ask them, what's more important, hiring and maybe paying a little bit more for the right people in the beginning, or how much are you willing to wait for the right person? So I think with smaller companies, they're a lot more desperate to hire. If that's the case, if they choose you as a recruiting partner, Our job is to help your clients hire, period, end of story. So we have to constantly think of creative solutions, out of the box solutions to help them. We have to sell the opportunities in the trenches with the candidates every day. We have to help them brainstorm, like, what's the highest they can go on salary? What's the highest they can go on equity? What are the other X factors or perks and benefits that they can offer? Any little helps. So really push them to maximize their salary cap and maximize their equity, because whatever they can do, or sign-on bonus, annual bonus, that's really just going to help them. If you've been working on them for a while and they've been struggling, just be honest with them and just show them the data that you're seeing on the market. Show them the candidates you're not willing to send them. Show them candidates that are phasing out through the recruiting process because of the comp, and just tell them at the end of the day that it's hurting them. It's hurting them, and they could be hiring so much faster. They can be hiring so much quicker if they can just increase their bands by 10, 20, 30% or however low they are. Last case scenario, if they're unwilling to budge, no matter how prestigious or famous that they are, it might make the most sense for you to walk away from them. You know, like, you have to preserve your time as much as they're preserving their time, and as much as they want to find the right hiring partner, like, we can only work as good and effective as the clients that we work with. If they give us, like, opportunities to bring and think of creative solutions, if they're open and willing to change their bands because of the data that we're seeing, if they're willing to meet you in the middle for whatever purpose because we all have the same goal, then that is a good partnership to have. But if they're really stubborn and they're not hiring, and you know why, and then they're constantly blaming you, might not be the best situation to be in, because you're trying everything that you can. We're only as good as what we're working with. So if you're working with, even though it's an amazing brand and that can help maybe increase the inbound, but like, even if despite that you're working with a low salary, low hardly equity, maybe low benefits, and they still expect to attract top talent, like, they need to just have the facts presented in their face. And if they're not willing to listen or adjust or be open-minded, maybe like, it's not worth your time. You're working your butt off every single day, and then your returns or your chances of getting returned is slim to none. So, you got to preserve your time. You want to work with a company that respects you and that knows that, like, we're bringing our expertise, our data, we're bringing our specializations to help them hire people now, not 2 years from now, like now. Most people who engage with us are hiring immediate, and I'm pretty sure a lot of them are not willing to wait 1, 2, 3, 5 years to find someone that's willing to work for them significantly sub-market. Like, yeah, people like them exist, but like, people want to also get paid market, only because as well it's a canned market. And typically, if you're a really good, talented professional in the technology industry, chances are you have companies hitting you up left, right, and center. So candidates have options, and they're not willing to play games with companies that want to play games with them. So that's my advice. Be honest, back it up with data, tell them that, based on X, Y, and Z, they could be hiring so much faster. And as time goes on, you're not seeing any improvement, or you're not making any hires, and they're not improving, they're not listening or being willing to listen to you, might not make the best sense to work with them. So have respect for yourself and your time. It's so easy to be like, oh my God, I'm working with this amazing company and I have to bend over backwards and I have to work for them like 200 hours a week to send them candidates. But like, if it's not realistic, better off finding a company that's willing to meet you in the middle, who sees you as an equal recruiting partner, not as like an outsourced employee who's willing to work ridiculous hours for no pay. So I hope that helps. If you're in a similar situation, if you've experienced something before, please comment down below. We'd love to have you hear your thoughts. But that's me, and those are my thoughts, and time to start working. All right, so happy Thursday morning, and we got a really interesting development. So if you've been seeing my last video last week and you've been following me this week, you know that we basically just decided to walk away from one of our clients because it just wasn't a mutually beneficial, productive, constructive relationship. But we just got an email from them late last night from the head of HR asking me if I'm open to having another chat with them on the phone so we can better talk about how to have a relationship moving forward, and they still want to work with me. And this just completely caught me off guard, because as I was literally just saying with you moments earlier in this video, like, I just been completely turned off by the whole situation. We're putting in so much in this relationship, not getting anything back, and now they want to reconsider and work with us. So I don't really know exactly what's going on. I wrote back saying, hey, thanks for reaching back out, but I'm a little bit confused because I spoke to the founder, and the founder basically shut me down and didn't want to listen to me. And she's like, well, I spoke with the founder again, and she maybe wants to reconsider. So it puts us in a very good situation, like the power position, because we have the luxury to now to decide what to do. I don't really think it makes sense for us to continue working. I mean, yes, we did a handful of placements with them last year. They're a phenomenal client in a short amount of time, and everything just seemed to kind of deteriorate, and they're just trying to penny pinch, create all this drama, and just being super disruptive to searches that are ongoing multiple times. I don't think it's worth it. I mean, if you're me right now and you had this client almost like asking, maybe they were going to start begging for us to work together, like, would you do it? Like, is short-term financial gain worth psychological, emotional, just burden long-term? I don't know. I mean, I think the only reason I can see myself working with them again is if we renegotiate our terms and financially we're really incentivized to work with them, because even though we're a retainer right now, it's with a significantly lower retainer than what we usually do with the company, because they told us we want to do a trial retainer for only 2 to 3 months, as we're going through a reorg, and then depending on that, we can of course revisit that. And even with the lower retention, I was happy to do this with them temporarily because we at that time loved them a lot and had great history. Now they're trying to penny pinch that even more, and they're asking us to do so many more positions, and not just that drama, and willing to cut off our heads at any given second without any warning. Like, it's just such a drama situation. So for us to make sense, I think financially, it just has to make sense. But again, even if they agree to that, which is unlikely, like, I don't know if we should. So anyway, really, really interesting. Again, I was just talking about how it really stinks to kind of say bye to relationships, especially with business client relationships, but then have them literally come back to you just a day later is pretty humorous. So we'll see what happens. I'll keep you updated. I haven't made up my mind yet. Just still kind of processing everything, and we'll see what happens. All right, couple more developments. So our favorite clean energy company came back to us and asked us to help with a very targeted IP, intellectual property role. Now, we are in no way experts in this. I only entertained giving it a chance because they were really crystal clear in exactly who and what they're looking for. I have a pretty basic understanding of IP, but doing a lot of studying behind the scenes. And from my conversation with them multiple times, I was able to deduce that we're able to do a really targeted, minimal, kind of surgical campaign. And that's exactly what we did. And we lucked out big time. The second person that we found checked off every single box, and he flew through the interview rounds. And I just heard this morning that they might want to move forward to an offer. I did a quick process call with the candidate just moments earlier. And even though he's excited, he has a ton of questions, from like remote healthcare to salary, how do the options work. He's actually in Ohio. When I first reached out to him, the client told me that remote was okay, but then when they interviewed him, they were like, hey, we actually want you at least 2 weeks each month in New York. That wasn't articulated with me. So now he's confused, I'm confused. So even though we might move forward to an offer, and this could be a great, just lucky offer, it's a long shot for this actually to go through. So yeah, I mean, it just goes to show that, like, I think if you know what you're doing in recruiting and you have really productive and very clear intake calls, so when you walk away, you know exactly who the ideal person would look like for your client, then you can really do targeted search and then do whatever you can on the side to learn and study as much as possible. Sometimes you can get really great wins. And so my candidate overall sounds positive, but there's still a lot of decisions for him to kind of process to actually make or an acceptance of this offer. The process with my client also went super fast. So while super fast is great from my point of view, it can also be a double-edged sword for the candidate. If a candidate goes through and interviews at a company and it goes so fast, then you're like, oh my God, what happened? I literally went from like having a first casual screen to an offer. And it doesn't really give candidates or job seekers the experience of talking to a lot of other members of the team, giving them breath to process things as it goes along, and to kind of think of questions, ask questions, think of concerns, ask concerns, and just really just give them the mental bandwidth to just think and process everything. When everything goes really, really fast or too fast from first round to an offer, this is exactly the downside of that, where the candidate's like, oh my God, it's too fast, I can't make a decision. And then you have to backtrack and try to set up additional conversations with other members of the team, more discussions with the founder, and it just makes the offer section a lot longer because the interview process was a lot shorter, and it did not give the candidate ample opportunity to get all the questions and just even get a time to grasp the whole opportunity in the company adequately. So I think that's what happened here. It's great that we're moving to an offer. I hoped that they ideally would have maybe loved to have connect with one or two other people just to kind of drag it out a little bit. But again, I prefer fast processes over super long processes, because at least with fast, if the candidate needs to talk to an additional person or two, like that's easy to set up, that's low hanging fruit. So great place to be. Super, super lucky here. Would be amazing to get this done. I'll keep you updated. And also just had one more process call with a recruiting candidate who is also going to a offer stage with their edtech company. And as you heard from the previous video, we've been this is a position that's driving us crazy. We had so many close calls with offers, and for a variety of reasons, candidates have either withdrew or rejected the offer. The candidate we have right now, everything is looking good so far, but she's also in process with 2 other companies. So it's another possible bidding war. And so I just can't get my hopes up, but she's in the process of gathering her references and shooting it over. And if you remember, we were in this situation with another candidate, but then she got rejected because her references were bad. I mean, that rarely happens, because references should be just a shoe-in, and you really should only select 2 to 3 people that would say nothing but amazing things about you. So the fact that someone got rejected from references is not good, and I was able to relay that to the candidate saying, hey, you should probably rethink using this person for reference, because they did not say 100% positive things about you. So references should be straightforward, simple, minimal, like obstacle process. And so the only issue here is time. The candidates, 2 references are on vacation. They're completely off the grid, and my client wants to move fast, but probably won't be able to get the references till next week. We'll see what happens. I asked my candidate for the time being, instead of manager references, if she can provide maybe good colleague or peer references, just to kind of make sure there's no dead time, because that can kill any recruiting process from intrigue or energy or just overall interest on both sides. If we can kind of fill in the gap with a reference that they can talk to, that can maintain their excitement for my candidate. So 2 things I'm focused on right now. It's really, really awesome. It's going to be difficult to make any of these happen, but if I can make one of these happen, we're going to have a phenomenal month. So, okay, got a bunch of calls right now. I'm going to be hopping on the call with an old client to pick up engineering roles, and we'll see what happens. Ooh-wee, what a Thursday. I just had a great call with a good old client of mine from New York that moved to California, and I thought that I was going to pick up an engineering role, but then now I'm picking up a product manager and a product designer role. Boom! Instead of 1, we get 2. I love product design. I love product management. That was a very successful call. I connected with a brand new person on the team, a brand new head of product, which I've never met. Really sweet person. Definitely looking forward to working with her. Going to go through my database, do some research later tonight, and then craft up some important kind of targeting criterias and see if we can start reaching out to people as soon as early tomorrow. Hopefully I can kind of garner some good responses from the people that we already have in our database, but gonna really want to move fast on this. We were able to renegotiate a percentage fee here. They're aggressively hiring. They just opened up the new role, so minimal competition. So let's get it done. Just gonna focus a lot more on software engineers and product designers later today, but things are moving forward with our clean tech company. We still have no additional feedback from the outstanding candidates that are late in stages, except for the fact that our recruiter candidate finally sent over another remainder outstanding reference for one of our managers. So if it goes well, hopefully, if everything goes well, we can move to an offer. Again, she's interviewing with 2 other companies, so it's not gonna be an easy close, but at least we can try to get through their references, because we got destroyed from references last time. And so doing whatever I can to make sure like we can keep that as smooth of a process as possible. So coming into tomorrow, we have 2 client calls on tomorrow, picking up engineering manager roles and actually syncing with another one of our current clients who just got a new internal recruiter. So I'm gonna sync up with him, making sure that, he knows about us and our process, vice versa, me learning more about his background, really starting that relationship going, and then understanding like what their high priority positions are. So coming to next week, we know exactly like which positions to target to go full force and to establish and create momentum. So far, good week so far. No offers yet, trying to make it happen. So gonna be sitting here for a couple more hours. We'll see where the day takes us, and most likely I'll see you on Friday. Take care. Good morning and happy Friday. We have a little bit of a development update to share regarding the candidate that got an offer for intellectual property or head of IP at my clean tech company. So he came in with a load of questions. I'm not really having any hopes up here because he just want to go over everything with the founder, from healthcare premiums to the scope of his role, to the organizational structure, to salary, but most importantly, like how they can shift the remote flexible working conditions and capabilities. Now, when I first reached out to my candidate, my client told me that they were open to making this position fully remote with the occasional travel. Now, when he started interviewing with them, that shifted to, we want someone to travel a lot more, if not reload to New York City. The position was intriguing enough for my candidate to remain engaged, and we actually went all the way to the offer stage, which is where we are now, which is obviously fantastic. It also clearly shows that my candidate is still very excited about the opportunity. But aside from everything, I think the biggest point of like contention and the biggest obstacle for him to make a decision is this whole remote thing. Because at the end of the day, like, he only responded to me because he told me that he wanted a remote job. Everything else looked fine. Like, the salary came out exactly what he was looking for when I first spoke with him. He wanted 200 or higher. The initial offer came at 205. Now they increased it to 215. He has an amazing title. He has responsibility, scope, benefits, all that makes sense. But the only thing stopping him now is this whole remote thing. So I have to kind of try to find a way to see exactly if my client can have any wiggle room here, if they can just lessen the travel expectations to a point where that's good enough for my candidate. But I know my candidate also spoke with my founder last night to kind of go over this, and it seemed like they were able to make a little bit of progress. But then I heard directly from the candidate afterwards that he was overall still really happy about everything, but still he's worried about the whole remote thing. So I don't think it got to a point where he felt really excited or comforted that it's at a point where he's really excited about. So that's ongoing right now. This is a potential massive offer, and I just want to do whatever I can to kind of make it happen. I am going to talk to him in about 10 minutes to see what's going on, but my focus this morning is to see if I can kind of help just massage this forward. I have 2 client calls today, picking up multiple engineering manager roles, which is amazing. I got a bunch of questions about that. I just need to know if this is remote or local to New York City, like if they want someone hands off or hands on, like a lot of questions. And again, I talk about this all the time if you've been watching. If you're talking to a client, especially on an engagement or onboarding call or intake call, it's super important for you to understand exactly what they're looking for, so that you know, number 1, of the ideal profile, and number 2, if you know you and your team can deliver effectively and move fast. So that's the first call. The second call is I'm syncing with a brand new recruiter and another one of my old clients I've been working with for years. Just building that relationship, understanding exactly what the high priority positions are, so that all candidates are coming inbound on our end. Like if they're good, then I can send them over to him. But besides that, we have about 6 candidate calls today. We got 1 interview today, and got a whole weekend and rest of Friday planned, and the weather is getting nice, so it's been a good week so far. Still no offers yet. Doing whatever I can to at least pop 1 or 2 of these. That would be absolutely incredible. But now it just takes time to be patient and empathetic, listen very well, and see if we can kind of match or bring together what the candidate's looking for to what the client's looking for. It's so funny when you do whatever you can to get the candidate what they want, and then once you get them what they want, then they don't know what they want. This happens to me before in the past. Like, a lot of times candidates talk to me a little bit dubious, a little bit skeptical, and say, I'm intrigued by the idea, but the salary has to be this, the title has to be this, X has to be Y, Y has to be Z. And then throughout the whole process, we work so hard behind the scenes to make it happen. And then once you actually make it happen, you present it to the candidate, so, oh, I don't know if this is good enough. I don't know if this is actually what I want. Then we're like, oh my God, why can't you just tell us earlier? But then, I get it. Interviewing and finding a new job is stressful. A lot is going in your mind. And of course, a lot is also happening at their current jobs and their lives. So I totally get it. But we do whatever we can to bridge the candidates and clients or hiring managers together, so that both feel like they're reaching a mutually beneficial scenario. But then sometimes you do a great job, you do your job too well or too fast, and sometimes the candidate's like, ooh, I don't know if this is what I want. Maybe I want more, or maybe I don't know. Maybe I should just stay at my current job. And then we just have to kind of backtrack a little bit and figure it out how to resolve everything. So you just has a lot to think about right now, So we'll see. Talking to him in 10 minutes, but it's gonna be a good Friday. Gonna guarantee it, and let's make it happen. Okay, so I just synced up with the candidate again. Ooh, not as good and strong as I think it is. He's really kind of concerned about this whole remote thing. Right now, the latest he got from my client is they want him 2 weeks on-site in July, 1 week per month, August, September, and then further on-site schedules to be discussed in the end of September. And that kind of still concerns him because he's like, there's no mention of 100% remote. And what if they want me to come in a week at a time, 2 weeks at a time, forever? And he's not in New York, he's traveling from, I believe, Ohio. And so he's like, that's a quarter of my work, having to travel, and that's a deal breaker for him. So he's like, you know what, maybe this is not the right position for me. So he's kind of getting cold feet right now, trying to backtrack. So I'm trying to save him, saying, hey, negotiation isn't just a one conversation thing, it's an ongoing discussion. And so don't rush to a decision. Let me see if I can go back to my client and see what we can do. And then I just had a phone with the founder directly. I shared this with him, and he's like, oh, it's in our best interest to make this fully remote for him. The best that they think that they could do is probably ask my candidate to come once per week, probably until October or November. And then at that point, make it fully remote because, he doesn't have that much experience in their field. He wants the candidate to ramp up as fast as possible, which requires him to be on site with the team, and then they can make it fully remote. So I think that wasn't clearly conveyed since the last time they spoke. And I think the fact that the founders already thought that this would eventually lead to fully remote, I think that's great. So I asked them, please run it by your team and put this in writing. I think it'd mean a lot to my candidate to have the 100% remote in writing. If they can do that, I think that'd be fantastic. My candidate is kind of getting cold feet, which I'm a little bit concerned about. So I'm gonna have to navigate this, but we're making a little progress. I just need to see this in writing. I'm gonna sync up with my candidate again in a couple hours from now. It's a busy and hectic Friday so far. All right, hello, Friday mid-afternoon. Got a couple updates with you. So synced up, had our first client call with an amazing health tech company looking for possibly 3 engineering managers, which is gonna be amazing because they can go up to maybe 200 plus salary, fully remote, amazing benefits. The company sells itself. So I think this is gonna be an awesome job to work. And then I synced up with the new recruiters at my current client, and they're just looking for really good product professionals and software engineers. And they just wanted to chat and share their experience sourcing and recruiting engineers in this market. And I was able to share some of my feedback and experience as well. Long story short, it's absolutely nuts. And I think this goes well beyond engineers. Any technical role, any really technical specialized role in technology in the tech industry is crazy. It continues to be a candidate driven market. With the pandemic, with the oncoming recession, people are a lot more just conservative and they're just a lot more risk averse in joining smaller companies. So because of that, for small companies to continue to remain competitive, and if they still want to hire full-time people here in America, they have to pull out all the stops in terms of equity, salary, perks, benefits to remain competitive and to be able to compete effectively against the bigger companies and fangs of the world that are willing to just throw tons of cash to scoop up talent across all levels. So my heart honestly goes to founders and small teams that are trying to scale in this market. Even before 2020, it was difficult, but even now it's significantly difficult and a lot more expensive. And so I'm seeing a lot more companies, smaller ones, that are forced to kind of look at other avenues that they haven't considered before, like maybe hire contractors, maybe hire international teams, which is obviously not ideal for a lot of people. If it, there's a time zone issue, language issue, or I don't know, they just need someone here or a team here in America. But that's why it's really crucial for the partners that they work with, like for example, us, to really be able to understand what they're looking for, understand the company, and then sell the opportunity as best as we can. And so that is my job. And speaking of that, and I said this before, I'll say it again, recruiting is 100%, in my opinion, a sales job. And if you agree with me, please let me know. But I may be a little bit biased because I have a sales and business development background, but think about it. I think if you're an in-house recruiter, for you to attract people, you have to sell the opportunity, either by talking to them or emailing them. All of that's within sales. If you're an agency recruiter, you have to sell people on your opportunities as well. You have to sell not only candidates on your opportunities, but also clients to want to work with you. If you're an in-house recruiter, throughout the process, you have to continually sell to maintain excitement and engagement with your candidate up until the close and the offer being accepted. So I think that if you have a sales background and you're in other industries and you're taking a hard look at recruiting, I think you can do an awesome job. I think that if you're in recruiting, you're thinking about recruiting, you don't have a sales background, that's totally fine. Most people don't, and most people are crushing and doing really well. But I think to kind of give you that added benefit or advantage, or just more tools to be able to understand how to sell opportunities better, to connect with people that you're talking to, do a couple sales trainings or read some sales books, watch some videos or conferences on sales. I think that can honestly only help you. Like in recruiting, we're a people-to-people business. And for us to get buy-in, to get opt-in from the candidates we're working with, like that uses sales, really good sales practice. I'm not here to say use shady or bad sales practice, but sales can help. If you have been thinking about this for a long time, there are free resources out there. Use Google as your friend. There's paid books and conferences and programs that you can do. But I think that if you are looking to kind of up your recruiting level, you want to just up your overall set of skills, like take a look at sales and see what else you can kind of improve and develop. I think the sales skills and foundation I built have helped me tremendously in recruiting, from pitching to cold call to selling to establishing relationships. And I think this isn't just a recruiting thing. I think it's anything. If you're starting your own business, if whatever job that you're working in, sales, you're always selling yourself. And if you're a job seeker, for you to get a job, you have to sell yourself adequately. So I think sales and learning a little bit of sales, establishing a baseline of sales can really help you in whatever facet, job, business, venture, relationships that you can think of. Because at the end of the day, we are always selling something. Might as well learn how to do it well. So just a little Friday rant for you. But either way, I was also able to sync up with my candidate and convey to him that I spoke with the founder again since I last spoke with him this morning. And the founder was still under the impression and intention that the candidate will become 100% remote eventually, which is music to my ears, because that's exactly what my candidate needs to hear. As mentioned before, he got the revised offer, and it says they want him 2 weeks or a week in the office until September, and then after that point it's TBD. And my candidate, not being from New York, is like, what does that mean? I cannot and do not want to continue working at the office an additional kind of 25% of his job or once a week per month. He's like, that's a deal breaker for me. He goes, if I can have it in writing or an understanding that I can be fully remote, and if a really significant need arises for him to kind of come back to New York for several days at a time, that's okay for him. And that's the only thing I wished and I needed to hear from my client. That's exactly what I heard. So I asked him to please put in writing, and then I conveyed that to my candidate. He seems very positive about it. He also did mention that he had concerns about getting the impression that my client just wants to move 100 miles an hour on so many different things, and he needs to convey that to them and talk about it and talk it through with them. And as a result, I'm like, hey, let's sync up with the founder again and air this concern just so you guys can reach a mutually good solution. My client also just wants to fly him out next week to meet the team and see the space and everything, and he's still open to doing that. So this offer is not done, but I'm still doing whatever I can to save it. My candidate, despite everything, is positive. He remains to be positive. He's open to physically traveling to New York next week. He's open to, again, talking to the founder next week, which gives the founder another opportunity to continue to sell the opportunity, the short term and the long term, for my candidate. And so this is still alive, and I'm doing whatever I can to maintain excitement, mitigate any concerns or questions, and just to keep my candidate engaged, because I think my candidate could be a good fit. My candidate ultimately wants this job, but because it's out of state, that comes with a lot more reload and traveling and just a lot more things to think about that pushed them almost to the edge of having cold feet, but I'm trying my best to kind of reel them in and keep them engaged. So I think that's great. And at this point, it's always great to connect your candidate to the team. It's always stronger to talk to the team and the company, the founder, the hiring manager directly, than going through intermediaries. So at this point, I'm really happy to continue staying as a supportive third party here and just massaging everything and helping everything hopefully move forward in a positive way. Still got 2 more calls today. Got 1 more interview happening today. Been sourcing product designers and software engineers today. Going to be shifting focus on product designers and software engineering managers probably first thing next week. Going to repitch a bunch of engineering managers in my database today before the weekend's out. And because it's Friday, not gonna slack off, gonna do whatever I can to end this day off really, really well, to create as much momentum to go into next week with great candidate calls, interviews, and hopefully offers. So things are moving forward. Just heard back again from my aviation tech client. They're interviewing for a senior director of product. We got a couple fires there that are slowly moving forward. And so that can also be another giant placement to do as well. So doing whatever I can to stay on top of coordinating. It's almost becoming the summertime. So people are traveling, people are starting to travel. Responses are slowing down a little bit. So it's our objective to continue with great momentum, with great energy, just so that when things slow down a little bit, we can still drive as much traffic and really great, amazing people to the clients that we work with. So that is the game plan. That has always been the game plan here in the summer. When things are slowing, when people are traveling, when recruiters are slowing down, we are still maintaining our speed, in fact, speeding up so that we can really be productive in the summer and come into Q4 with tremendous momentum and speed. So feeling pretty good so far on a Friday. I've had some matcha, as you know, made some homemade coffee, which I think definitely helps if needed, and looking to kind of sit down here and remain here for another several hours and finish this day off strong. So I'll see you in a bit. All right, happy Friday afternoon. Just wanted to take a little short break here in the middle of sourcing to just thank you again for watching. It really does make making these videos a lot more pleasurable, just hearing from you, hearing the great advice and feedback from other recruiting professionals, and we will continue to do our best to kind of keep it up. But as you can see, it's been one hell of a week. We were not able to officially close this week with any impending offers. Our IP candidate is still alive, hanging by a thread. Our recruiting candidate, she's so far going through her references, or my client's going through references, and everything looks good so far. Fingers crossed, hopefully we don't lose this. And if you saw my last video with the whole drama last week of working with an ad tech client and the whole situation with the founder just wanted to cut our heads off and don't want to work with me, and what the update is with that. So, we got an email earlier the week saying, hey, like, we would love to chat with you again to see how we can work together. I responded back saying, I'd be open to hearing you out. Haven't heard from them yet. So who knows? Maybe they're actually really gone in the wind this time, or they're going to get back to me, but still haven't made up my mind in terms of what I want to do with them, because I'm still kind of shocked and processing my relationship with them and how much we've given to the relationship, and what we got back in return, which was not a lot of respect, not a lot of open-mindedness, and even just respecting our history together, which we've done a lot of great stuff over the past year and a half. So despite that, it's been a great week. We've made a lot of progress on product design, engineering positions. We have so many engineering positions. So if you're watching this, you're working for yourself, you have your own small team, or you're a full-time job looking to make a side income. If you are really good at recruiting, have a great track record, you have a database, or you'll be able to reach out to engineers or product or UX design, please reach out to me. I love to kind of work with you, would love to collaborate. And even if you're not a recruiter in our industry, if you're recruiting in other industries, please reach out to me here on YouTube or Instagram, any of the platforms. Always love networking and hearing about other incredible success stories and backgrounds of other great people in our industry. I think we have one of the coolest industries out there. We have one of the largest industries out there, and it's always just boggles my mind, and it fascinates me to hear what other people do. And what I do is only a small little sliver of the recruiting industry. There's so many different types of recruiting. Not everyone does full-time. A lot of people do contracting. A lot of people do all different types, from internships to RPOs to etc. And so whatever you are, whether you're in America or out of the world, please respond and reach out. We'd love to kind of hear from you. If you love these videos and want to see more like it, please don't forget to like, subscribe, click that bell. In fact, give me a good shout out on Instagram. I would love to shout out and tag you back. Always love to kind of hear folks on that platform as well. But so far, just processing and really doing my best to kind of finish the last couple of hours here and really making good progress on sourcing. Coming into next week, our priority is focused on software engineering managers, software engineers of all kinds, in addition to product managers, product designers, and trying to close one or two deals. And if you're curious to see what happens, make sure you tune in next week. I will do my best to kind of document everything and go from there. But I really hope that you guys are having a great May so far. By the time I'm shooting this, we have 1.5 more weeks left of May. I hope you guys are having an incredible month and you're really doing whatever you can to get a step closer to hit all of your goals. And if you surpassed it, if you crushed it, you're so close, let me know, and I would love to kind of give you some good vibes. And again, please consider sharing this video. We'd love to just have your help in showing the world, the people out there, what we do as recruiters out there. And if we can all work together, collaborate, elevate recruiting together, I think that would just be awesome, because I honestly do love what I do every single day, even despite having to kind of go through all these wacky and crazy and stressful situations with clients and candidates. So been doing this long enough, and I'm still happy doing it every single day, and would love nothing more than to do it along with you all. So I really hope that your Q2 is going well, you're hitting all your goals. It's been one hell of a week. Unfortunately, did not have any offers closed, but possibility for next week. And I'm gonna do my best to have a good night, relax, recharge, have a great weekend, and come stronger than ever so that we can hopefully make some big things happen. So thanks again, really appreciate it. Feel free to reach out to me anytime, and we'll see you on the next one.